So today I am going to talk about an interesting aspect of our current situations, the socio-political impacts of COVID-19. To be clear in this episode, I want to tell how the countries around the world and their political leaders are handling the COVID-19 crisis. First of all, what we know about COVID-19. Why didn't we get informed earlier about the spread of COVID-19? Or did we? Let's see. Recently, the South China Morning Post reported that the first case of COVID-19 can be traced back to November 17th. But official first case is still reported to be in December 2019 in Wuhan, China. In the early days, China started to see the day-by-day increase in number of cases and deaths related to a completely unknown disease. It first came to limelight when a Chinese doctor tried to warn about the new coronavirus and lost his life to the same virus. Then later, on 31st December 2019, the World Health Organization informed about the new coronavirus.
The People's Daily official newspaper ignored the announced outbreak on January 1st. In fact, there was no mention of the epidemic for 20 consecutive days through January 20th.
As the COVID-19 cases started to increase exponentially in January, the China was to take immediate actions. But here, I want you all to notice that other countries than China have already reported their first cases of corona in January. Due to the dictatorship ruling under the President Xi Jinping, China did not want to leak the information to the world and tried to suppress in the mainland itself.
Xi Jinping is the most powerful leader China has had since Mao Zedong. The entire Chinese bureaucracy and security apparatus seeks to please him and reinforce his highest announced priority, stability. Pulitzer Prize-winning author Laurie Garrett specializes in public health and infectious diseases. In China, she saw the SARS epidemic covered up by the Communist Party.
So it's created a culture inside China of cover-up, lying, hiding the truth, very much like what I experienced in the old Soviet Union.
Chinese government launched a campaign, the People's War, to contain the spread of virus. During this campaign, it put 15 cities, including Wuhan, over 700 million people in lockdown and built 14 hospitals and thousands of beds in just 10 days.
The Chinese government released these videos, supposedly showing the COVID-19 virus being fought by an elaborate campaign to spray airplane exteriors and fumigate entire cities.
Wuhan, the epicenter of the epidemic, was locked down to curb the spread of the virus. People worked day and night to build 2 new hospitals from scratch in just 2 weeks. Exhibition halls, sports venues, and other public facilities were converted into makeshift hospitals. 60,000 beds for COVID-19 patients were opened up in Wuhan in just a month.
On 29 January, WHO declared this epidemic as a World Health Emergency of international concern, which means every country should make necessary actions to stop spreading of this virus. But sadly, no country was sincere back then. But why? The reason was very simple. Although the WHO was warning, at the same time, it did not give any information that what is this virus, how this virus spreads, or how severe it is. No doctors, scientists, or other professionals know at this point of time. China did not allow foreign doctors to take the samples of the patients and the foreign media to interview the patients. If China would cooperate and WHO would make strong decisions, the situation might be different. Now coming to February 2020, China, while successfully containing coronavirus, it failed spreading it to the world, and while other countries failed to take it seriously, and downplayed its severities by comparing it with seasonal flu.
Cases of the coronavirus outside China than inside that country. Right now, the biggest outbreaks are in Italy and Iran, and from there, the infection is spreading kind of like a web across the world. People who had been in Italy are now linked to cases in Algeria, Austria, Croatia, Germany, Greece, Spain, Switzerland, and Brazil. And people who had been in Iran are being linked to new cases in Bahrain, Iraq, Kuwait, and Oman. Canada has recorded a second case in someone who traveled from Iran.
Since February 1st, WHO started releasing global corona reports every day, while passengers on a cruise ship, Diamond Princess, started to test positive for COVID-19.
Well, one of today's key developments in the coronavirus outbreak, the confirmation that another 39 people aboard that quarantine cruise ship in Japan have now tested positive for what is officially known as COVID-19.
On the plus side, many countries like EU, Canada, US, South Korea, Japan, India, etc. started helping China in containing the virus. For example, 21 February, over 30.5 tons of personal protective equipment was provided to China by France, Italy, Germany, Latvia, Estonia, etc. Also, many countries started fast-tracking science, providing projects, developing vaccines, etc. Okay, but it was inevitable that corona spread outside China. Let's see how each country responds. In fact, many countries like US, Australia, EU, India, Japan, Pakistan, including Italy, have stopped people traveling back to where the infection rates are high, that is, Wuhan or whole China. But this rule applied to only foreigners but not to the native citizens. But how does this stop spreading? The virus doesn't know who is a foreign or who is a native. But the virus found its place around the globe. Instead, what WHO or health experts recommended was to screen all passengers at the airport and quarantine them for at least 14 days.
As I keep saying, all countries must take a comprehensive approach. But the most effective way to prevent infections and save lives is breaking the chains of transmission. And to do that, you must test and isolate. Once again, our key message is test, test, test.
If the politicians would follow this suggestion and give a little bit of attention, at that time the situations might have been different again. This is how the government failed at the second step in February. In late February, the stock markets are crashed due to COVID-19. The politicians started to understand its severity, whereas always the expectations were there. March is the month where entire world went into chaos. Now I call upon Mr. Karun Kaushik to report how countries had taken a turn from health measures to major political decisions.